Hey guys, Lerard here, and right now I'm getting my new podcast episode switched over to a new platform. So this is part of a new episode, but at the same time, I'm also creating new content on this new program. Hopefully, I could have something worked out where I could explain what is it I'm actually doing on this new software. But in the meantime, guys, I'm Alero Arts. I am a cartoonist, illustrator, comic book instructor for all ages in the Chicago area. I am a 2019 Eisner winner for the anthology for Puerto Rican Strong. Also, have created my own characters, and a few have been more for comic books for all ages, as well as my character mascot, Alley Cat. Alley Cat is a hooligan for hire, no job, big or small, rather a party of 4 to 4,000. Alley Cat's the guy, and he's just a licensed party animal. With that being said about those characters, I'm going to get into this podcast. And I just wanted to talk about an episode for today of talking about crowdfunding, especially for Kickstarter. Kickstarter, especially for you guys who are familiar with it. And sometimes I get people that mix around and say, GoFundMe. And the truth of the matter is, though they both raise money, we're looking at GoFundMe's for more for like, it's clarified more for people that have illnesses, or you're just trying to get money to help a cause that required something that you can't, pay back. And those are beautiful and those are great, and we all need help in some form, which that's cool. But for Kickstarter, for crowdfunding, you are actually giving something back in a return to have for the person who pledges to your campaign. Which that's the thing, you're creating a product for what you're creating, and you let people know your story, and you go about that, and they will receive something in return. It could be a physical object, it can be a simple thank you, and that's it. And you cut your ties, and the person creates their content or what the product is. So in my case, I make comic books, and when we make comic books, we're usually trying to get the raise funds for printing. Sometimes us creators need to pay outsources for illustrating, or someone that puts the book together. Or in my case, I'm the artist in there, and I do the lettering as well as a bit of the marketing and just getting everything together. But for those would be great ideas for raising money for that. So with that being said, talking about these Kickstarters, I was introduced to it for over 6 to 7 years of understanding, and I'm still learning. And I participated in a couple. I pledged to a bunch, and I've been part of Kickstarters where I was the artist and participating. But my first Kickstarter solo by myself was actually for an Alley Cat coloring and activity wacky coloring book, and it was a blast. I made the goal, and I was able to ship out all of the products. The main thing was that getting the book to the printers, and that was the goal. I was able to have other reward tiers people were able to pledge to, and sometimes I had people that were they just wanted to support your cause, and that's awesome. So big shout outs to you guys, you Patreons that do that. But overall, it means a lot. But learning about doing these, it is work. You're trying to make sure that you cover all bases if you can. I've been doing the Kickstarter thing as far as creating. This would be my fourth Kickstarter, including my Alley Cat coloring book. But I'm always learning something new, and you always have to keep the wheel going and always try to have that maintained attitude of creating. And that's one of the things there. You have to have everything planned out. You have to have accepting. Sometimes you might not make your amount. Sometimes you will, and it's beautiful. But overall, just to be able to have a clear vision, creating Kickstarter again is a full-time experience. They normally go for 30 days. You can do lower days. You can do them longer, but my amount has been 30 days. And actually, right now, I'm working on a Kickstarter right now with my creator writer, Ella Gunton. And we've worked on 3. This would be our third Kickstarter. And her creation is Power Punch Bootcamp. And we were able to get the last 2 funded successfully. And working on this third book has going on right now. We are in the process. So when I have this audio up, hope to have our amount over, and hey, if we get it funded, even better. Yeah, baby. So, but yeah, creating a Kickstarter is work, and you have to promote. And if you're on social media, that's the tool. You can let your family and friends know about it, but at the same time, you will get support from strangers. I do believe that you have to have a story. And though I like to let people know is the story does not technically have to be about the what you're creating, which that is important. What I'm trying to say is your story of why are you creating this Kickstarter. So the book that we're working on is a superhero book, and that's that story. But what I'm trying to explain is you got to have the story of why should I pledge to your campaign. And I let people know as the illustrator of the book, I'm a cartoonist and I'm an all-age comic book creator that I work with middle school kids in the Chicagoland area. I'm primarily on the south side of the area of Little Village and Pilsen, close to downtown. But my services have me travel around. I also do comic book conventions, San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, Cincinnati, and my hometown, Chicago Comic-Con. So when they do have events that have open halls, I do tutorials of creating characters. And one of my favorites that I go to is anybody can make a square. So let's make SpongeBob SquarePants. That is just an example. But I see that it's the young at heart as well as the older kids that could say, hey, I could do that too. So it's a great marketing tool. But back to the Kickstarter. My story is I'm a teacher, and my creator writer, Ellie, she's a teacher as well. She's a teacher across the pond. That's overseas. She's over in England working on these comics. It's a great way to get kids involved into reading, and especially to have the bright colors. As the illustrator, I try to have that aspect to have the audience excited about the book. So that's one of the things that I want to bring about. Like, what is the story? What is your story? What are you trying to say where you want people to connect? And it doesn't have to technically be all age books, but if you're telling a story for like a cyborg or a zombie, a horror, you just got to have, and I could be wrong on this, but again, this is a liberal arts podcast, so I'm just giving you my perspective, and I like to be forward and let people know, like, hey, this is how I interpret it, and this is how it worked for me. Like I said, 3 successful Kickstarters that I was part of. I'm pushing for this fourth one to have this funded as well too. So working on Kickstarters, you have to have that story. So I really encourage that if you're just starting off, have a connection. And you don't have to be a school teacher. You don't have to have like the greatest, I don't want to say you got to have a bad story or bad artwork, but you got to have that story that how you could connect to it. You could be a person, say, example, like Kevin Smith worked at I'm not saying that he did a Kickstarter, but for his movies like Clerk, he worked at a convenient like store at night, and he filmed like past the time of the store close, and he did all his editings and everything. So that was his connection. I hope that was analogy helped with that, but you want to have like a connection. You want to have something that if you grew up learning how to put sewing, I'm just using another example, sewing together, maybe that could be something connected there. Like, hey, when I was young, my grandmother would show me how to sew, so I could do that like blind. I could go ahead and close my eyes, and I don't mean blind in that. I mean you can close your eyes and you can go ahead and not see what you have to do, because you could do it with your other talents, with feeling and that. So that's what I mean by story. So by no means am I saying blind in the negative. I'm just saying you can go in there with your eyes closed. So you want to have a connection. You want to have a story. You want people to know your back. What is it that you put together that makes you want to be part of this? And that's the other thing. You want to let people know that as much as the writer and the artist are contributing, the letterer, the person in Kickstarter is the pledgers. Let them know. And as much as the importance of putting the book together, the long hours, but it's also the pledgers and their hard work and earned money that they want to say, hey, I believe in that. So it's to start up a project, and it should get you going. So, man, as I'm putting these words together, I'm just, like I said, I'm getting back into my podcast mode, and I appreciate you guys that follow the steps of what I'm putting together. And I know I blur words and I mix up my words because I'm not a speaker, but I challenge myself, and I encourage you as well too to go out there and do that. So that's my side note of that. But for Kickstarter, I believe if you are in the creative field, if you're in music, if you're in writing, if you're in painting, you should kickstart. You should put that out there, because it's also a social platform as well that gets you to get more eyes on what you do. So if it doesn't get funded, as you do show people that contribute and see what you do. So there's no negatives in Kickstarter, in my opinion. Again, this is a literal art. I'm in my podcast. I'm explaining my views and what works for me and how that works. And like I said, these are the things that I experienced and the tutorials and how I explain. So I appreciate you guys that are listening on that. And but with the Kickstarters, there's other platforms, but Kickstarter is what I'm really wanted to talk about in today's episode. So I'm working on promoting, where I promote on Instagram, and I repost on my TikTok channel, and I repost on my Facebook page, as well as X, what is it called? Twitter. And everything is a literal art. So in that, I want people to see what my blunders are, if I make mistakes, because guess what? We're all human. Try your best and just do it again. And that's what I feel about that. But for the Kickstarter, hey, have something that has your story. Have something that is you. But if you make something that's out of hand, that's you're just trying to put that out there because it's no connection to the audience, you have a hard time. So while we're doing our Kickstarter, I understand certain things that take place where times are tough, where we're in the middle of say we're at the first week of August actually, and I understand, as well as my creator understands, that back to school, but we do have it planned that the book will be ready for trick-or-treat Halloween time, and it's actually a Halloween-esque theme. So that's one of the things that we try to do with the story, is to let people know, hey, the book is complete. And that's a side note. If you're doing any product, especially a comic book or a graphic novel, never launch your Kickstarter in anything before 80% done. You should have, if you're working on the last pages, hey, go for it, because by the time the month comes, you should be already done with those last few pages. But in rules that I was told by, try to finish the book and then promote. So working on this Kickstarter, we had it all completed before June. So as a teacher, one of my jobs is, as teaching, getting home, I worked little by little, like finishing up the coloring and adding the lettering. And that's as much as I could do while working full time. So when I had it said and done, I just thought a perfect time. Let's just have it July for August release as in completed for Kickstarter. So the book is illustrated, it's colored, it's lettered, and all pages are formatted, ready for the printer. We do want to have a special page for the thank you for everybody to contribute, and that's also important too. So you should let people know that as much as you and your creator, or if you're doing it all, let people know. If you're doing these crowdfunding, let people know how much it means. I'm speaking on my experience. I'm always appreciative. I let everybody know. I even let people know, if you can't contribute, sharing is very important. And I probably sound like a cuckoo bird, but it really does mean a lot. Sharing. You don't have, if you can't contribute, I understand, because hey, we are there. We're paying a bill. Hey, we have children and getting ready for school. We got to make sure our supplies goes to the kids, and maybe something down the line. But I totally understand. So letting people know, sharing is important, and I get that. So, but for Kickstarter, you definitely need to have those key elements. You got to have a story. You got to have that connection. You got to have that audience. You have to have that social media presence. You have to, definitely go in there with a sense of understanding that, hey, this might not get funded. And like I said, it's not a loss. It might be a loss that you don't get it funded, but you could try different other pledges or other platforms. And they're all out there, and we could use that for another episode to talk about that. But like I said, we're talking about Kickstarter, and I'm a Lyral Art, and I'm just trying to get back into my podcast, where I know I fumble, and I use my analogies all wacky, and I'll let you guys know that doing these, they're fun, and I do get nervous at promoting as well as putting everything together. But one foot in front of the other, and just try to do your best for that day, and try to do your best from the day before. And speaking of like doing podcasts, I mentioned it earlier before, but saying that I'm on a new platform right now, and I was very nervous, but I really wanted to get back into it, and I would not understand if it's not going to be a failure. I don't know if I'm going to have an error with the audio. I don't know, but I have to do this. And I just really felt like right now, especially in this doing this episode for Kickstarter, you never know. You never know. You never know if it's going to be something like you have your downs or your ups. We get your pledges, we don't. You just have to just go with it and put your best foot first. So doing that. So I'm excited about this Kickstarter. I'm excited that I worked on this book with the creator, writer, Ellie Linton, because this was something that I get to show my students, I get to show my family, I get to show my friends, and it's a childhood dream of just creating my own content. And then with this Kickstarter, again, Kickstarter is it's like a social media. It opens up doors to getting other projects going, and it's just like the Instagram and the Twitter X and TikTok, but it's its own, but more for business. So I would encourage that if you're writing, put your poems and put it on there and do a Kickstarter and get that pledge. Musicians, record and use Kickstarter as your platform. If you're a comic artist, creator, sometimes how the norm is now for getting published with the big two, which I mean DC Comics and Marvel, they would love to see if you could put a book together. And if you could put a book together, you have a leg up on that. So you definitely should consider doing that. And it's encouraging. And again, it's work. And there's nothing with just trying your best. And hey, we all have our days where we just want it to be easy, but it's work. So you got to get up. You got to let people know what you're doing. They need to know that you're creating, and you just got to keep consistent. I always try to do a video every other day of talking about the day of the Kickstarter, and letting people know what my agenda for that day is, whether I'm scripting or putting page layout or coloring. You just want to show your audience and your Patreons to see where are you with your project, and you should always let people know that story. So I feel I'm very fortunate to be able to work on making art and comics especially, and be able to teach and make content where people can interact and contribute. I'm very grateful and very fortunate. And if you guys know me, I'm very silly, and I just want people to be creating and be excited about things, and enjoy what we're given. So I'm a big believer in that, and I just want people to have that. And with this platform where I'm on my podcast right now and my audio, I just hope this helps as well too. I look around at this day and age where I remember hearing about printing cost this amount, and I would hear about like how people got their work out there through newspaper, and I was part of that era world too, so that's my age as well. But now we're on this fingertip, and now we're on this platform to get people to pledge, and it goes back to the Kickstarter. And you just have to have a story. You have to have that. You have to, it could be the silliest, it could be the spookiest, it could be meaningful, everything, but you have to have that story that connects it. And as a creator, I think that's what it is. People need to see that you do that. And I'm very fortunate to be able to have that and to contribute that. I do look forward to sharing more projects and more Kickstarter projects down the line. I'm excited for the next Alley Cat coloring book. I hope you guys will too. It's activity book, by the way. And I look forward to sharing more projects. So that's what I wanted to use this Kickstarter episode about. So it's like I said, it's a social media of being able to share and let people know what you do. And even if people are peeking in to see, it's really cool because you're part of it. You might, I'm speaking from my example, and I might not get the amount that I start off on, but I do get it in the shares and the support. And when I see someone that says, "Hey, I have that book," it really means a lot. So there's different rewards. I offer sketches and stickers and bookmarks, and that's just for mine for when I do books. So I know for writers and for musicians, they do different things and autographs, and it's great. So talking about Kickstarter, you find out what your jam is, and you go with that. As I speak, I'm at my table right now where I have my Alley Cat 3D toys and my stickers and magnets, and I'm just like, these are fun things that I know people love because and explain who Alley Cat is, this little party animal. They just find him like enduring and sweet. So that's the story with that. So that's just my example that I wanted to speak about in this episode. I'll have more episodes down the line where I talk about Kickstarters. I'll have more episodes on how, putting things together. But you definitely have to have a plan. You definitely have to build an audience. You definitely have to have a story. And then what I mean story, again, is who are you that you are creating it. And you want to have something that gets people excited about that. So I want to end this now just by saying, be motivated, be always wanting to try and do your best. It might not come out right the first time around, just like I do with my podcast, just like what I do with my artwork, but you have to continue, and we need more of that. I'm kind of doing my teacher talk right now. I do a lot of cheerleading, but I believe it, and it doesn't have to just be for kids. It could be for adults too. We all have our days. We get kind of depressed at times, but we have to keep going. You have to have that motive, and it could be for someone or yourself, but more for yourself. And I totally encourage you to go out and create. And this is a perfect platform, like a Kickstarter, crowdfund, to put it out there. So if you have a story about you, do it. If you have a song about you or poems about you, just do it, because everybody could feel somewhat related. And I think that's what it's all about. And why not have it up on here on this Kickstarter? I am not being sponsored by Kickstarter, by the way. I just find this tool very useful. And again, it's a learning tool, and I just want to have this something to share. I get a lot of people asking about Kickstarter, and I hope that this is something I can share. And I just want to state that again. I'm Alero Art. This is my Alero Art podcast. This is an episode I'm doing, working on this Kickstarter with creator writer Elegantson for Power Punch Boot Camp, titled Monster Mash. It's an 80-page story. It is over 100 pages with extra bonus content and full color book. And it has a lot of goodies and behind the scenes. And this is our third book together. Really hope that you guys get to check it out and support it. Even if it's a share, but definitely to get this book to the printers. We are very dedicated and both educators that we want to get this book out there, to get people to see that this is something fun, and especially for around the trick-or-treat time. So I'm going to wrap this up. I did my little blurb. I thank you and let you guys know where I come from. It's all in the honesty of you could do it too. You can create. I never said or claimed that I'm great at talking, but I want to show my pals and my friends out there that I have a voice and you have a voice too. So I really hope you can inspire somebody that they can do it too, and just do it. And let's be better people and humane out there in this crazy, wacky world. And let's just be a positive person for that person out there to see. I don't know. Again, I'm very bad with my analogies, and my words go cuckoo and stuff like that, but I come with good nature to explain that. So I want to thank you guys. I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys have a great day, a great weekend. And I hope to hear from you guys in the next episode. So I'm a Little Art. I'm a cartoonist. I create comic books and graphic novels. I'm a teacher in the Midwest of Chicago. And I just want to bring something positive for the next generation, to create something. So I thank you guys. I hope to hear from you guys for the next one. All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye. Peace out.